Can humanity colonize Pluto in the next centuries?
Section 51.
Section 51.
Section 51.
Hi everyone, what's up? I am GH, aka DilsGeek, back here with you on Section 51. And big thanks to all of your kind comments every time and your likes. Big thanks to all the new subscribers and welcome. If you are okay, let's start by liking and sharing this new video. It will be a really great support for the channel. With its nitrogen-dominated atmosphere and water-rich icy surface, Pluto seems much more hospitable than even the most sanguine planetary scientists would have wagered a decade ago. But could it ever play host to an Antarctic-styled research station? Could a base on Pluto represent a great opportunity for researchers, astronauts, to give humans a foothold in the outer reaches of our solar system? How could it be feasible? First, I think that we have to keep in mind that the biggest obstacle is going to be how far you are from the Sun. In really rough numbers, we get 1000 watts per square meter from the Sun, and it's only 1 watt per square meter at Pluto. So you have to make up the extra 999 watts to keep the temperature comfortable. Researchers don't think it would be that much harder to have a base on Pluto than any other hostile solar system environment. The main issue is cold. You would need good insulation and heat. Rather than terraform the whole planet, you would just make your habitat work. And according to Alan Binder, the principal investigator on NASA's Lunar Prospector mission and a long-time advocate of lunar colonization, there would not be any real difference in a base on Pluto and a base on the Moon. Once at Pluto, astronauts would have a virtual cornucopia of volatile compounds such as water, methane, and nitrogen ices, as well as carbon monoxide to use for construction, life support, even chemical propellant. In contrast, if setting up shop on the lunar surface, one would have to import most of these compounds. Having a base on Pluto would also offer future planetary scientists the chance to literally get their hands on primordial components of the early outer solar system, while living and working atop a world that remains both puzzlingly active and geologically complex. There is an incredible wealth of stuff that's going on in terms of glaciation, convection, tectonics, and mountain building. In fact, Pluto's rich chemistry also provides the basic ingredients for life. With a diameter only half that our Moon, Binder still suspects Pluto could harbor subsurface oceans that potentially have present-day microbial life. The dwarf planet appears to have geologic sources of energy that thus far remain unidentified. So, future researchers on the surface would study the atmosphere, Pluto's climate, its interior via seismology and its surface ices. The same set of things we would do on the Moon or Mars or any planet. Pluto's surface would also be ripe of astronomy. Well beyond Jupiter and our solar system's region of local zodiacal dust, electronically linked arrays of an optical and radio telescopes should offer astronomers an extraordinary view of the cosmological deep sky and the earliest universe. Even a modest wide field near infrared telescope on Pluto's surface would offer astronomers a great way to search for and characterize objects at the outer edge of our solar system's Kuiper belt. It could give astronomers an opportunity to detect and observe comets in the Oort cloud, the heretofore unseen leftover reservoir of trillions of comets that orbit our solar system at a distance of a light year from Earth. A telescope on Pluto might even aid in detecting and determining the orbits of hundreds of potentially Earth-threatening long-period comets. Pluto's sheer cold would be useful for mid-infrared observations. The dwarf planet's strangely inclined 17-degree orbit above the rest of our solar system could provide astronomers with an interesting planetary vantage point. But getting there much more rapidly than New Horizons, a NASA spacecraft which traveled to the Pluto system at a relative breakneck pace of 9.7 years, is the key to changing the current interplanetary travel and logistics paradigm. New Horizons was launched on January the 19th of 2006, beginning its odyssey to Pluto and the Kuiper belt. Pluto's orbital inclination would also provide an advantage in launching interstellar probes, provided that the probe was traveling toward a star in the direction of Pluto's orbital motion. If one was aiming for chemical propulsion, Pluto has enough hydrocarbons and oxygenated materials like water and carbon monoxide to make hydrogen and oxygen fuel. But what would it take to actually build a polar-styled base? Robotic spacecraft would first construct the base in situ, then use a plethora of RTGs, radioisotope thermoelectric generators, to power and heat it. It would likely resemble an Antarctic-style research station on a platform secured by rigid, reinforced steels. Is Pluto's geology stable enough to support such habitat? It's a water-based substrate with all these volatiles on it. But if its geology can build mountains, you could put a building on it, maybe. However, Pluto isn't a likely candidate for wholesale terraforming. The only reason Pluto is able to hang onto all those volatiles is because they are so cold. If you warm it up, a lot of that stuff would shed to space and Pluto would turn into a monster comet. So a rocky world covered in ice, on Pluto you would definitely have somewhere to stand. And one of the most interesting things to see would be the fine snow made of nitrogen, methane, and carbon monoxide. However, if you timed a visit to coincide with Pluto orbiting close to the Sun, you'd see the ice change directly to a gas, a process known as sublimation, creating a thin atmosphere around the dwarf planet. Pluto has some interesting surface features including craters, throws and mountains believed to be formed out of a bedrock of water ice. But you'd need to rug up because Pluto is very cold. The average temperature is minus 229 degrees Celsius. After a frosty stay in the outer solar system, you'll be ready to head back to the comfort of an environment you evolved to survive in. A livable climate, a breathable atmosphere, and some great sunsets. A place called Earth. There is currently no plan or even any proposals to land on Pluto, since there are far greater priorities with regards to space exploration, which themselves won't happen for many years. I can't imagine there is any chance of humans landing on Pluto for at least the next 100 or 150 years, and only then once we have invented completely new and much faster propulsion technology. It currently takes about 11 years, so to answer to the main question of this video, colonize? No. Manned scientific research station may be technically possible in 200 years, but maybe not worth doing. Robotic ones would cost a fraction of the price and do just as much. Thanks for watching everyone. As usual, don't forget to like and share our videos. Please, if you have time to go take a look at the Section 51's Spreadshirt shop to get your own Section 51 t-shirt. We have plenty of new t-shirts to offer. Let's dream together, maybe one day humanity will be able to colonize a distant planet. Maybe after all, this is what we are called to do since the first days of humanity on Earth. I'll be back really soon. Open your eyes, watch the sky, live long and prosper.